Hello and welcome to the Upgrade the World podcast. I'm your host Josh, and today we'll be talking about the Federal Reserve. In 1907, Augustus Hines, a copper mining magnate who incorporated United Copper, arrived in New York with his hopes set on becoming a major player in the world of finance. His brothers Arthur and Otto had set up a brokerage firm in New York, and on the beliefs a lot of United Copper stock was being sold short, and that the Hineses owned the majority of United Copper shares, Otto came up with a scheme where they would quickly buy up all of the stock to drive the price up, and then, when the short sellers were forced to exit their position, Otto could set the price at his discretion and make a profit. This phenomenon is known as a short squeeze. That plan backfired, as it turned out there were plenty of other shareholders willing to sell, thanks in part to a rival who learned of the plan and furiously sold their shares, ultimately causing United Copper's stock to plummet from $52 to $10 in 2 days. Concerned their savings could be at risk, the public began pulling their money from the trust and banks associated with Augustus Hines, one of which was the third largest trust in New York, and it was forced to shut down. The contagion then spread across New York City and the nation, causing the Dow Jones Industrial Average to crash. In response, J.P. Morgan, a private banker who had also bailed the government out of a financial crisis in 1895, organized a group of financiers that saved the American monetary system from collapse yet again. The fact that the entire American economy was essentially being saved by the intervention of one man made it clear that the banking system needed reform. Following the panic of 1907, Congress established the National Monetary Committee, headed by Senator Nelson Aldrich. Aldrich and his team of economists went to Europe to study the central banks in Germany and Britain, and Aldrich came back determined the United States needed a central bank, who could act as a lender of last resort if another panic were to occur. In 1910, Aldrich decided to set up a meeting with individuals with the expertise needed to codify a plan to be put before Congress. Knowing the bill would likely be dead on arrival if word got out to the public about the identities of these men and their Wall Street ties, Aldrich took steps to ensure this meeting remained a secret. Under the guise of a duck hunting trip, each man was to arrive at the New Jersey train terminal separately, dressed in duck hunting clothes, and board Aldrich's private train car, where they were instructed to use only first names, so the staff would not become aware of their true identities. The First Name Club, as they would later refer to themselves, consisted of Senator Aldrich, his private secretary Arthur Shelton, Henry Davison, a partner at J.P. Morgan, A. Piatt Andrew, an economic professor at Harvard University, Frank Vanderlip, president of National City Bank and former Treasury official, and Paul Warburg, an expert on central banking both in Europe and the United States. Their final destination was the Jekyll Island Club off the coast of Georgia. Described by Munsey magazine in 1904 as the richest, the most exclusive, the most inaccessible club in the world, these accommodations are believed to have been arranged by J.P. Morgan himself. After a week of the men working tirelessly, by the end of their time on Jekyll Island, Aldrich and his colleagues had developed a plan for a Reserve Association of America, a single central bank with 15 branches across the country. Although the Aldrich plan didn't make it through Congress, it laid the groundwork for the Federal Reserve Act, which President Woodrow Wilson signed in December 1913, creating the Federal Reserve System. Today, the Federal Reserve is the most powerful economic institution in the United States, responsible for managing monetary policy and regulating the financial system. That's all for this episode. Thanks for listening. Until next time, keep upgrading.